You're most welcome at AUC, at the Center for Migrant Studies. We are very fortunate to have you today, and to also have my good friend and friend at CMS, Dr. Jamal, who came all the way from Morocco to talk to us about the migration and asylum law of Morocco, the new Moroccan law on migration and asylum. This is a law that is given as an example in some of our countries. We listen to Bahija talk about how the law was made, the demand for the law, where the demand came from. I think that Moroccan civil society was extremely important in demanding the reform of the law for the protection of migrants and refugees in Morocco. And then she will talk to us about the law itself and about the programs that are supposed to be implementing the provisions of the law. Dr. Jamal is Professor of International Law at the Hassan II University. She was a prominent official of the Ministry for the Moroccan community, Moroccan abroad, the community Moroccan, of the Moroccan community abroad. It is the ministry that was created and then disappeared and was created again, but she was a prominent official in charge of the Department of Legal Affairs at the ministry. She also, in addition to Moroccan experience, she has experience with the multilateral system. She has worked for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in refugee status determination. She has worked for the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and she also has had experience with the International Committee of the Red Cross. All this experience was around issues of migration and of asylum and refugees. Bahija, you're most welcome in Cairo. We are at CMS are always happy to see you with us. The floor is yours. If you could talk for 30-35 minutes, and then I will have a few words to say, and then we'll open the floor for the audience to comment or to put questions.
Thank you very much first. Thank you very much for your kind invitation and sincere and deep appreciation to you personally, Dr. Ibrahim. Thank you for your trust. You are my professor, my teacher, and I'm all the time happy to learn from your wide experience. So thank you to all the audience. Well, my presentation will focus on the new migration, local migration policy and asylum policy, which was adopted recently in 2013. So I'm trying to give you first the content of the presentation, so what was the internal and external context. We have main axis of this policy that are exceptional regularization campaign, the upgrade, what we call the update of the legal and institutional framework of migration, asylum, and combating human trafficking. And finally, I will focus on the recent strategy adopted on the 18th of December concerning the national strategy of integration. So, concerning the internal context, so as you know, Morocco, due to its historical, cultural, and religious links with sub-Saharan African countries, due to its geographical vicinity to Europe, Morocco has a long tradition of being a migrant and internal transit country. It becomes also a host land of migrants, asylum seekers, and refugees, mainly from sub-Saharan countries. The situation of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees in Morocco was deeply criticized mainly by civil society in Morocco. And but the contrast is that since 2000, Morocco has undertaken many efforts on the structural human rights reforms, but it was all the time the question: what is the situation? How we can have all this process, all these efforts on human rights concerning citizens? What about what we call foreigners or Indians or immigrants? So mainly that in 2003, Morocco has the first time that it recognized that there is a problem of there is what we call a problematic of the situation of immigrants in Morocco. Once it recognized the situation of this population, but unfortunately the country has issued what we call law of number 0203 related to the entry and stay of foreigners in Morocco and irregular immigration and immigration. Unfortunately, most articles were criminalizing the entry and the residence of immigrants. So there were no human rights approach when edicting this law. It was unfortunately a law that criminalized immigrants more than giving them rights. As I said, the contracts that there are many efforts on human rights process, but unfortunately migrants were marginalized. So in that context, the Council on Human Rights, National Council of Human Rights, what we call in French the Conseil National des Droits de l'Homme, has issued in 2013 a report with a very, very important report named Foreigners and Human Rights in Morocco for a new policy in the field of migration and asylum. This report also criticized the government's repressive policy of migration and included a series of recommendations in line with those that had been demanded for years by civil society NGOs. Concerning the external context, Morocco has been for a long time member of many fora dealing with migration issues. In 2006, Morocco organized the first Euro-African Dialogue on Migration and Development. Morocco is an active member on the Global Forum on Migration and Development. High-level dialogue was behind the initiative. Has initiated what we call the African Airlines for Migration and Development while attending the high-level dialogue on migration in October 2013. So there are many contracts. As I mentioned, we have the problem of ignorance of immigrants, a restrictive policy, a restrictive law, but at the same time, at the opposite, we have the process of human rights. So the report comes at the appropriate moment. So on the basis of that report, there will be a turning point of the history of dealing with immigrants in Morocco. There are here some key events, and we will notice with me that there are a rapid change in the events. With the 9th of September 2013, as I said, the National Council for Human Rights submitted the report I mentioned to the King Mohammed VI. 10 September, the day after, the National Human Rights Recommendation were quickly endorsed by the King via communique of the Royal Cabinet, and he gave instructions to the government to adopt a comprehensive and integrated new migration policy in conformity with international commitments of Morocco and 2011 Constitution, guaranteeing the respect of immigrants and refugee rights. Here we have 10 September. 11th of September, there will be, it was the creation of the first national committee which will deal with the implementation of this new policy. The new committee is composed of 4 subcommittees. Subcommittee in charge of appropriating the legal and institutional framework on immigration, asylum, and community human trafficking. The second subcommittee on the regularization of illegal migrants. Subcommittee in charge of the regularization of refugees recognized by UNHCR. And finally, subcommittee on the diplomatic actions in charge of promoting international and regional cooperation regarding migration. 10 of October 2013, extension of the ministry in charge of Moroccan living abroad mandate to include also migration affairs. Now the name of the ministry is Ministry in charge of Moroccans living abroad and migration affairs. This department becomes in charge of coordinating, implementing, and evaluating the new migration and asylum policy. November 2013. It was the date of the elaboration of an operational work plan revolving around the main axis of the National Human Rights Council reports. So the main axes are, we have to first to think how we can implement the idea of regularization of illegal migrants. So the first axis is exceptional regularization of illegal migrants. How we can proceed to upgrading the legal and institutional framework on immigration and asylum and combating human trafficking. And another axis of that work plan is the preparation of a national strategy on the integration of immigrants and refugees. So in my presentation, I will first deal with the exceptional regularization of illegal immigrants. Before dealing with that axis, I will mention some facts and figures related to illegal migrants in Morocco. There are approximately no accurate global estimation of illegal migrants in Morocco. So, but in fact, we have some estimation concerning legal migrants in Morocco. So, number of foreign residents are around 77,500 persons. They are most represented. They are representing Europe 52%, Sub-Saharan Africa 18%, and North Africa 15%. And as shown here in the figure, we have foreign residents in Morocco here. So there is, despite what we notice from what's come out from this figure is that despite of upward trend in the past 10 years, mainly from 2014 to 2013, the number of legal migrants in Morocco has remained stable. Only 0.24% of the Moroccan population, which is around 32 million persons. So we have some statistics. As I said, the total number until 2013 is 77,500 legal migrants in Morocco. What about illegal migrants? There are contracts and different estimations between scholars. If you come back to some scholars, so they estimate that there are between 10,000 to 20,000 irregular migrants in Morocco. But the official estimation, mainly the last estimation of the Ministry of Interior in 2013, estimates that illegal migrants are around 25,000 to 30,000 persons. 75% came from 6 sub-Saharan countries which are Nigeria, Mali, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Guinea, and Cameroon, and 15% came from Asian and some European countries. The majority of irregular migrants in Morocco come from sub-Saharan Africa and enter the country through Algeria in the city border, which named Oujda, after having traversed the Sahara Desert. What about the exceptional now regularization campaign? Now, once again, there are some key events. In 17th of September 2013, in a quick response to the King's instruction, a subcommittee on the regularization of illegal migration has been set up. The duration of the exceptional campaign is the 2nd of January 2014 until 31 December 2014. On 11 November, there were 2013, there were a press conference to mark the official launch of the regularization operation. The 2nd January, opening of 83 offices of foreigners in Moroccan provinces to examine the regularization requests. There were the deployment of necessary human and logistic resources. More than 3,000 persons were implicated and were mobilized at this campaign. What were the eligibility criteria to have this to be regularized according to new migration policy? So Ministry of Interior and Ministry in charge of Moroccans and Migration Affairs have issued a joint memo which contain eligibility criteria for illegal migrants in Morocco to obtain legal state documents, application documents, administration in the charge of examining applications. You see with me that they are most relevant the question of time. We have from September till January, it was fast changing on to implement this new policy, and believe me, it's when the will exists, everything can exist. So it comes from the high level of the power in the so everything is well. So what were the criteria to accept, to admit, to give the legal status to immigrants in Morocco? So first we have to be foreigners married to Moroccan nationals, foreigners or foreigners who have been living in Morocco with another foreigner legally settled in Morocco for at least 4 years, children of these two categories, foreigners who have worked contracts for at least 2 years, foreigners who have been living in Morocco continuously for at least 5 years, and foreigners who suffer from serious diseases. 14 February 2014, it was the issuance, the first issuance of the first resident permits. Around 16,055 requests have been submitted. 10,481 are from foreigners who have been living in Morocco for over 5 years. They constitute 66%. So applicants came from, at that time, so it's now 1 year left. Applicants came from 96 different countries, mainly from Africa, Europe, Asia, and America. Believe me, there are some Americans who have been regularized, and some Spanish and some French also. 70 prefectures and provinces were concerned. So the total number of residency permits produced by the Direction, so the General Direction of National Security, has risen to 1,509 persons. This operation, this campaign was carried out in close collaboration between the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Moroccan residing abroad and Migration Affairs, and National Human Rights Council and Inter-Ministerial Delegation on Human Rights. What are the results now? The last result was issued by the Minister of Interior on the 9th of February 2015. So we have 27,332 requests have been submitted. 18,000 immigrants have received a 1-year residency card, which will be renewed automatically when it expires for the same period. All women, officially all women, and children who submitted applications were granted residence permits due to their vulnerability. 116 nationalities are represented. The first nationality is from Senegal and Syrians, followed by Nigerian and Ivorians. Immigrants who have had their request rejected have the right to appeal before the Appeal Commission, created in June 2014. So if you follow me from September 2013 till the end of December 2014, there were considerable efforts to implement this new to implement this, the real instructions, in fact, to implement this new policy. This is the first axis. If you want to some questions concerning no? Okay. So, concerning the second main program on the new Moroccan policy, upgrading or updating, sorry, I didn't find an appropriate term in French, c'est la mise à niveau, mais is it good, upgrading? Because we have already some legal, some laws dealing with migrants and refugees, but there is now an upgrading of the legal and institutional framework on migration, asylum, community, human trafficking. So the subcommittee in charge, if you remember at the beginning, I mentioned the four subcommittees. Subcommittee in charge, which was under the tutelle, under the coordination of the Interministerial Delegation on Human Rights. The subcommittee in charge of upgrading has elaborated till from November 2013 till July 2014, we have now 3 separate draft clauses, one on migration, one on immigration, one on asylum, and one on community and human trafficking. So the work methodology, so as I said, to deal with each topic separately, for example, immigration, asylum, and human trafficking. So we have the subcommittee had what we call the drafting committees, which dealt. We have 3 subcommittees composed of relevant government departments and National Human Rights Committee, Interministerial Delegation on Human Rights, were in charge of drafting of new legal and institutional framework on the basis of the following. So these draft laws were elaborated on the basis first of international law and international norms. Just to give you more details about the work of, because I was the member, I have the privilege to be a member of the subcommittees on immigration and asylum, and community human trafficking. So the interministerial, as I said, the delegation on human rights hosted the meetings and the work of these subcommittees, drafting subcommittees. So the first time, the interdelegation on human rights have constituted what we call a task force, and the task force, the first one was the compilation of all relevant international and international, regional, and national instruments related to human rights, related to combating human trafficking, related to asylum, and on the basis, and they have elaborated a note de cadrage. It's more like a small booklet which contains all the references, all the relevant references on the basis of what the subcommittees have worked. So it was a compilation of all international and international norms. So with reference to all human rights conventions, the convents, the CEDAW, the conventions on migrant workers, the conventions against torture, the convention 1951 convention related to the status of refugees, United Nations Convention against transnational organized crime and its protocol on the combating human trafficking, European conventions on human rights and its additional protocols. So the work also was based on the recommendation of international and regional mechanisms, especially the recommendations and observation of the treaty bodies. I mentioned, for example, General Comment number 1 and 2 of the committee in charge of migrant workers, and some general comments of the committee against torture. We have also been referred to special procedures of the Human Rights Council and the recommendation of the Special Rapporteur on Human Trafficking following her visit in Morocco in June 2013. The subcommittees also have based their work on best practice in comparative legal system, mainly European, American, and some African and some Arab national laws. Also in international jurisprudence, mainly case laws of the European Court of Human Rights. Also, all the work were based on the provisions of the new constitution, 2011, because the human rights of the national citizens and the foreigners occupy a large space in the new Moroccan constitution. For example, Article 30 stipulates that foreigners enjoy the fundamental freedoms recognized to Moroccan citizens, and I translate this as it's written in Arabic, between brackets feminine and citizens masculine, in accordance with the law. Those among them who reside in Morocco can participate in local elections by virtue of the law, of the application of international convention, or of practices of reciprocity. The condition of extradition and of granting of the rights of asylum are defined by the law. This is the Article 30. Also, the work of the subcommittees refer to the rural instruction relating to the adoption of the new migration and asylum policy, to recommendation of the National Human Rights Council, the national strategic plans in the field of human rights, mainly the National Action Plan on democracy and human rights, and also the consultations with civil society as a key actor. So here I open the bracket, between brackets I can say that the new migration policy was approached on the basis of a human rights approach and the basis of participatory approach, and civil society is key actor on the implementation of this new policy. And during the year of 2014, there were 4 meetings with civil society for consultation with them. They were consulted concerning the criteria of regularization. They were consulted concerning the upgrading and the reform of legal and institutional framework of migration, and there were also representation of civil society in offices of foreigners. There were a number of the committees who make selections of the applicants. So I hope to give you more details concerning all the draft laws, but as I worked on the draft law on combating human trafficking, I give you just this example. So draft law on combating human trafficking, the subcommittee in charge of the drafting decided to draft a specific law based on comprehensive approach where the protection of victims and punishment of perpetrators are key aspects. In addition to revising certain provisions in other laws, mainly criminal law and labor law. So also the work of this subcommittee has been based on human rights principles, on the international and regional dimensions of the phenomena, the relation between reforming the legal framework for combating human trafficking and the legal frameworks for migration and asylum, as it was disarticulation between all these interferences, no? Between all these aspects, because sometimes the victims are refugees of victims of human trafficking, could be refugees, and they could be migrants overlaps. Okay, stipulation of alternative or complementary provisions regarding the aspects of protection and assistance to vulnerable groups. So the subcommittees has taken into account the economic fundamentals, mainly international standards and good practices, as I mentioned in general, concerning the work of the other subcommittees, coordination and cooperation at national and international level, criminalization of human trafficking and awareness raising, collection of data and information, identification, protection, assistance, and rehabilitation of victims. The draft law aims at strengthening national criminal law to cover all aspects of the crime, be it national or transnational, whether it was committed by an organized group, individuals, or legal entities, and guarantees punishment depending on the seriousness of the crime, its results and effects, and the gender of the victim, guaranteeing compensation of victims and their access to services, creating governmental coordination mechanisms for combating human trafficking, evaluating the situation by an independent body as a national rapporteur on human rights, on human trafficking, combating human trafficking, and strengthening the civil society involvement in combating human trafficking. Here, concerning the civil society, so we have expected to set up, to create an inter-ministerial body, and that interministerial body in charge of the coordinating the work at the national level of combating human trafficking, and this body can contact civil society for consultation and mainly to be in the implementation of this law. So just to allow me to inform you that the ministry in charge in 2014 has given support to 24 NGOs working now on the implementation of this new policy, including some projects on giving protection and assistance to victims of human trafficking. So, as I said, civil society is a key actor. The draft law was elaborated on the basis of the following principles: non-discrimination against victims of human trafficking, prevention of all forms and manifestation of trafficking in human beings, proportionality of punishment, protection of vulnerable victims, especially women and children, accessibility to public services, best interest of the victim, physical and psychological recovery, victims' compensation and reparation, exemption from punishment. So I'm trying to give there were two levels in that draft law: a level concerning the criminalization of acts, and another level, which institutional level, which will provide an effective protection. As I mentioned, we have this national rapporteur, this intergovernmental coordination mechanism, and establishment of mechanism of compensation. So now, the third axis is the national strategy of integration. The strategy was developed by the minister in charge of Moroccans living abroad through a participatory approach that ran from September 2013 through December 2014 and was elaborated on the basis of international best practices with diagnosis of the current situation, which allowed to achieve four major objectives of this strategy. First, managing migration with respect to human rights, establishing an appropriate institutional framework, facilitating the integration of legal migrants, and upgrading the regularity framework. And mainly the implementation of these draft laws, the three draft laws. The Government Council, the Conseil du Gouvernement, in its meeting on 18th December 2014, adopted the national strategy, and it was a coincidence with the International Day of the Migrants. Strategy on integrating immigrants and refugees, submitted by, as I said, the ministry. This strategy comprises 11 programs touching upon fundamental areas such as education and culture, and integrating in school system language teaching and Moroccan culture, youth and sports. There are some programs on sports and leisure programs. Health, access to care, housing, fostering the right to housing in a legal framework, social and humanitarian assistance, solidarity and social development, access to professional training, and facilitating access to employment. And the ministry in 2014 has already bilateral agreement with key ministry, meaning the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Family Issues, and now we are implementing this program. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bahija, for this most comprehensive talk about the new migration policy of Morocco, made, and then its provisions and programs that aim at its implementation. I will say a few words because I will beg you to excuse me enough now because I have a commitment and I will have to leave myself. Will continue. Will take over from me chairing this session. I have a few comments, but then we'll give the floor, and then you'll probably reply if yes, sure. I notice some of my Moroccan friends say it's fine, it's very well done, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we see how the policy is implemented. This having been said, I have to say that the policy, in fact, is impressive, because it's impressive, and the policy-making process in particular. I think you said that the royal will, political will, has facilitated things. But I think that as important as the royal will is the demand from civil society abroad, and the demand from the National Council on Human Rights. And if I compare with it a paper that will be uploaded in our website probably tomorrow, we compared migration policy in Egypt and Tunisia after the changes of 2011 to see what changes were introduced and to which effect. And you find that little was introduced. Little was introduced, in particular in Egypt. Some changes in Tunisia. So in fact, the question is the demand for policy. There was demand in Morocco. You know, probably the king would not have done a great deal had there not been a demand for policy. So I think the vitality of civil society in Morocco is to be saluted. Second, I noticed the modernity of migration. Really, frankly, everything is there. Even integration of rights in a country that is developing, a developing country, we usually say developing countries do not want more people. But in fact, we also have a process of integration. And then you have participation of civil society in implementing migration policy. In fact, they started the reform of migration policy, and then they contribute to implementing it. You have, like, in fact, not all European countries have foreigners participate in local elections. You have this in Spain, you have this in the Netherlands, but it's not happening only. So this is also something to be said. They benefited from the general comments of treaty bodies of the human rights system. People in general are not aware of the value of the wealth that general comments represent in international human rights law. In fact, they are policy. Now, I have one sort of observation. I would have preferred that we don't talk about illegal migrants. I think the term, in fact, Morocco is the second country in the world having ratified the 1990 Canal Convention after Egypt. And Egyptians insist on illegal migration, the media and the government. Whereas when the convention talks about irregular migration. So I hope Morocco also adopts irregular rather than illegal migration. The second is, European migration policy has had this idea of all countries are countries of origin, transit, and destination. And therefore, you also need to have migration policies like ours. When you look at the number of immigrants in Morocco, even the government says between 20,000 and 30,000, which is nothing. Which is nothing, absolutely. These do not make Morocco a country of destination. Morocco is essentially a country of origin. And the problem of migration, like Egypt, it's a country of origin, essentially. Mexico is a country of origin, essentially. So the importance of this, in fact, is that the European Union wants to legitimize its policies towards migrants coming from south of the Mediterranean or from Africa by having these countries adopt the same policy. When you adopt the same policies, you are legitimizing the policies that are adopted in Europe towards migrants coming from the sea. Unfortunately, our countries have fallen in this trap. Have fallen to the extent that countries of North Africa now, if you look at them, they look like an island. They have the Sahara and the Mediterranean. They are cut off from the north, and they want to cut themselves off the south. So I think there is here something that countries of North Africa should be extremely cautious. They do not need to legitimize the policies in respect of their own people going. This having said, I think that the advance, the progress in migration policy in Morocco is impressive, and I think this is a model that other countries in North Africa should emulate. This is what I have to say for the moment, and then I open the floor for the audience. Those who want to make.
Well, I think that Morocco is a third world country, and this is responsibility is very heavy. Need a good budget. Why Morocco play a role of recipient than crossing point? Is this gift for European countries? Thank you.
I just have a comment, it's not a question. Actually, for the civil society, the role of the civil society in policy making, here in Egypt, I don't really want to give a very pessimistic comment, but I've been working in a foundation for social service for a while, and I'm now moving out to another foundation. And I can see that most of the funds, talking about funds like funding 24 NGOs in Morocco, working in or talking about the civil society generally, I must say that the civil society or NGOs in Egypt or foundations that work in social service only get funded when they are kind of supporting the political agenda. I mean, if we take a look at the CSR forum in the past couple of days, or if we take a look at the foundations that get most of the fund, we will find that most of these foundations are those foundations especially working in the area of disabilities here in Egypt, because that's the political agenda for the first couple of years, and I mean for the whole regime. So, so the role of civil society is still very critical, but it's very controlled and kind of politicized, if I may say. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting observation. Dr. Jamal.
Thank you. It's very interesting. Two quick questions. It's a very legal approach, and Dr. Howard very correctly added, very interesting what you said, why? The demand. But I believe there has to be more than just the demand. I mean, I tried to read a little bit before I came on Morocco, didn't find much on this. I found the legal aspects, but not why it suddenly happened. Now, as a political scientist, and I've studied law, this is how I studied law. It's factual and, you know, to the point. But very rarely do we know why. So there's demand, but there must be need. What was the need? What's the threat? What happened that this had to happen? And the other question is, the one thing missing from this is IDPs. And these initially were two separate questions. I don't know if they're related. What happened with the issue of the Western Sahara and migrants, asylum, IDPs in there? Is there any connection? Why the sudden progressive approach? And it's been referred to in some of the articles as groundbreaking, potentially groundbreaking. Now, having looked at Moroccan politics previously, why is this particular thing going to be groundbreaking in the whole region, actually? What happened that made this focus be the groundbreaking element? Is there a threat? I read there's 3 million Moroccans who are migrants abroad, small population, 33 million. So just the reason would be interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Sarah?
Hello. First of all, I really like the immigration policy that Moroccans again. I think it's a smart move towards finding solutions to illegal migrants. But I was thinking, would that encourage more illegal migrants to come into the country in hope of being included within the new laws that have been implemented for them, or how would it, you know, if they want to come into Morocco? So that was something that I thought.
You can, if you wish, you can react, and then we'll have a second round for
Thank you very much for your reaction. Development countries and the development country. So there is the geographical imposes that Morocco. You are asking about the needs. Why? I can give you not only the official response to this question, but honestly, there is the European Union is behind also this policy, essentially, because as we know, Morocco is a part of the partnership mobility, which was signed in 2013, and Morocco has to make many programs concerning migrants. So there is this reality of externalization of migration policy, in my own opinion. So I'm not still at the ministry now. So as a researcher, I can say there is this problem of externalization of migration policy. We have this problem in the enclaves in Ceuta and Melilla. So we are currently preparing some detention centers in these enclaves. So the need, as we said, is to promote, to benefit from the support of the European Union. Recently, on April, on the 14th of April, the commissioner, the EU commissioner responsible for migration, has visited Morocco and gave a package of 10 million euros to support the government to implement its policy, mainly the integration policy, and some programs concerning Moroccans living abroad. So the reality, the geographical reality is here, the neighborhood relationship is here. So not only the will or not only the demands, but also there are the pressure of the European Union. Honestly.
It's a gift also.
It's a gift, yeah.
Yeah.
And Morocco is trying to benefit from that gift. And we don't have well-organized civil society, just to be honest once again. So we have still, so this is why there are some programs of capacity building of civil society. As I mentioned, the programs, the agreement between the ministry in charge of Morocco's living abroad and some NGOs. And there are many programs on capacity building of these NGOs to help them to implement this new policy. So we have weak NGOs, and we have NGOs that are looking only for money. So we have this problem, and they are trying to benefit from this new gift, from this torta زي ما بتقول بالمصري. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. They are in support of the political agenda.
Yeah.
That's why they're taking the funds.
It's true. Well, not exception. So it's the same thing even in Morocco.
But there's a benefit to Europe. I think the pressure is to prevent Morocco being used as a stomping ground to head to the next stage, whether it be Spain or across the Mediterranean.
Yeah. And the challenge, if this new policy will help encourage other irregular migrants to come to Morocco. This was the debate at the beginning of this new policy. Mainly some NGOs they were against this policy. This tendency of xenophobia, it exists, even it's not widespread, but some NGOs were against this policy. They say that we are going to encourage irregular migrants, but don't forget that Morocco has many development programs in Africa. So not only because it's a gift given from the European Union, but we have development and economic relationship with many African countries, and we don't forget only the question of Sahara, and it was also behind the adoption of this new policy. But believe me, some countries have سحبوا الاعتراف recognition of sub-Saharan country after the adoption of the new policy.
I think the question Dr. Hisham raised is quite. I think there is multiple causes. I think Bahija just said Morocco has a very active African policy, and this also contributes to this policy. So you have in 2003 with the law after the Casablanca Terrorist Act, the law was decried by many people working on migration in Morocco, Moroccans and the Human Rights Council. So there is an origin in demand, but there is also the African policy of Morocco, and of course there is Europe as well, and the concept. It's very interesting to see how policies are exported. I think I don't know where you are there. The migration policy of South Africa, it is a European migration policy. Because it is in the same, so you have the multitude of factors. But of course, you also have to look at the constitution, because Bahija mentioned the constitution in Morocco is amended in 2011 after what happened in Tunisia and Egypt. So there is also a wish to reform in order to preempt any political changes. You see, and this is why you have 3 articles, in fact, in the Moroccan reform constitution about Moroccans abroad. Very progressive, very progressive. So I think things are quite complex, and I think Morocco, the political system also plays the card. To which extent this is completely true, this is different. But it plays the card of modernizing political system, which of course has its limits, of course.
Can I add something? Once again, answering your question, believe me that after September 2013 until now, we have many attempts to go to Europe, illegal pateras. Once again, we have each day the Ministry of Interior, mainly the Direction of Surveillance of Territoire, we have these attempts to go to Europe. So there is a scare in irregular migrant that they don't want. In fact, they don't want to stay in Morocco. They don't want this new policy. Believe me, because as I had the opportunity to work with asylum seekers, so when they come, they fabric. There are no true stories of their demand. So they are here, they are seeking asylum just to stay in Morocco for a period. So waiting to that, where if their demand is denied, they will once again go to appeal and so on. And sometimes it takes 1 year staying in Morocco. So when this, and there are some asylum seekers, they refuse that their children go to Moroccan schools. They refuse social help. So, and when, even with the work currently between the ministry and NGOs, Moroccan NGOs, the agent working on the NGOs, they say that when we contact the immigrants, they don't want to benefit from our program, social program and the education program. Says there is a refusal because the aim is not to stay in Morocco but to continue to Europe. So, contrarily to that, what we said, if we are encouraging, we are not encouraging. That's many. I give you an example. For example, one of the axis of this program also is the regularization of refugees recognized by UNHCR. According to Moroccan system, before 2013, UNHCR gives the status of refugees, but those refugees have no right, no access to fundamental rights, no access to education, no to social rights. So there is no recognition from the Moroccan government of these refugees. So until 2013, there were 853 recognized refugees by UNHCR. In the frame of this new policy, the Ministry of Cooperation and Foreign Affairs, mainly we have the Bureau, le Bras. Have you ever heard about the Bras, the Bureau of Refugees and Apatrides Stateless Persons? We have this bureau at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and this bureau was closed during 20 years. It doesn't do anything. When refugees go to the Ministry of to that bureau, there is no response to their needs. So after 2013, the bureau has opened once again, and now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is regularizing refugees recognized by UNHCR. Until December 2014, there were only 530 refugees recognized by the Bureau. Why? Because the others, there were 853, and most of them, approximately 200%, refused to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get regularized refugees, because they don't want. They were scared that the Moroccan they don't have this trust on the Moroccan way, the Moroccan new policy, so they refuse. So we are looking. Sometimes they have the address. They are going to their homes asking if you want to get recognized by Moroccan government. When I say recognized by Moroccan government, it means access to all the rights, and they refuse. So there is this refusal. There is this fear of staying in Morocco from refugees and for irregular migrants also.
I have a question. So, in the beginning, you mentioned that Moroccan citizens are not allowed to go to Morocco. Is that true? And if so, why?
So after the EU asylum law was drafted, does UNHCR still conduct refugee status determination, or this responsibility has shifted to the government? That's my first question. Second question is regarding if the Ministry of Interior, or the Moroccan Ministry of Interior, has any prerogatives contradicting the regularization of irregular migrants. For example, if a migrant has been in Morocco for more than 5 years, he should be regularized. But can the Ministry of Interior object to this decision as prerogative, as saying that this person is dangerous to national security or so on?
Draft law concerning asylum, there will be a new institutional framework which is going to deal with what the asylum seeker demands. So UNHCR will get this mandate of council advisory instance or a consultative instance. But until now, the draft law has not been adopted officially by the Parliament, so UNHCR now is still doing its work. But referring to the new law on asylum, there will be a new institution dealing with all the process from examining the applicants till according to the refugee status. Other question: Ministry of Interior was part of this. Is the main is the key actor on this process of regularization. Sure, one of the criteria when dealing with the criteria of examining the application. So if the person is an attempt to national security, he is refused. His demand is refused. So, but we have still now some folders, some demands devant the Commission of Appeal. They are now proceeding on the examination of the demands. But it's, I think it's normal that if there is an attempt to national security or national order, there will be a denial of the application. I don't know if I understand.
Yeah, is there a specific criteria to what national security is, or is it still open?
Still open.
In any case, I made a calculation, 67% of demands were granted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So between 33% were rejected, probably for some reasons like those.
Excuse my English, I'm so sorry. So
It's very good.
French.
Very good. So if there are, you have another question?
Yeah.
Is it a burning question? Go ahead.
Why Egypt have experience especially in Africa? Why Egypt not play this role before Morocco? Thank you.
This will have to invite some Egyptian official to talk about this one day. But it's an interesting question, of course. I think it's an interesting question. In fact, I thought once, and I still hold the hope of undertaking research on migration and migration policy in Morocco, Egypt, in fact in 4 cities: Rabat, Cairo, Istanbul, and Johannesburg. Because you will find the same issues. Refugees who do not want to benefit from social, of course, who wants to go to Egyptian school or to Egyptian hospital? The same issues, the same issue of discrimination. But it's very easily said racial discrimination. But how about what happens in South Africa? So is it really racial? What is it exactly? So you will find common factors. In Istanbul, they are all white against Iraqis or against. So it's, of course, if you amplify the definition of racial, that would be something else. But I think there are common issues, maybe related to the state of developing countries with large populations. So it is a quite interesting area to explore the similarities and dissimilarities between these countries. And Morocco, look at Morocco, immigration country. Frankly, from sub-Saharan Africa. What is sub-Saharan Africa? In fact, Morocco, Libya, are countries of sub-Saharan Africa, are Sahara countries. In fact, they are Sahara countries, they are Sahara and Sahel countries. All of the south of these countries, including Egypt, by the way. Look at the graduation of our colors. So, and in fact, I guess if there were statistics, probably they would reveal that there have always been 20,000 people from countries south of Morocco and Morocco. Always, because where are the borders really? Do you see any borders? Do you see any material border between? It's a desert. So people go and, we know that people come from Nigeria on their way to Hijaz, to pilgrimage, and they stop in Sudan for a couple of years to grow crops until they make some money. And some of them they forget and they stay forever. So where is my? It has been done since immemorial times, at least since Islam has existed. So frankly, some of the concepts, conceptualizing even sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa is loaded. This concept is loaded. So, and this is what makes, what is irregular migration really between Burkina Faso and Mali, Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire? What is same people? What is irregular? The border is irregular. So migration is really raises many, is very different, very interesting. Very, unfortunately for the migrants, fortunately for political scientists, but unfortunately for the migrants. So I think, and Morocco being a country bordering on Europe makes it in a very, in fact, many comparisons have been made between Morocco and Mexico. Mexico with the US, Morocco and with Europe. Bahija, thank you very much for would you like to say anything?
No, thank you.
So thank you very much, Bahija, for coming all the way from Morocco. It's also, by the way, there is also significant migration from the Maghreb in Egypt. In Alexandria in particular, but not only in Alexandria. Also they came to go to pilgrimage, and they stayed. And so many families, in fact, are from Morocco and countries closer from the Maghreb. So the history of the world is a history of migration. Thank you very much, Bahija, for coming all the way from Morocco. It's a pleasure to see you either here or in Morocco. You have added some, because it's very seldom that we deal with migration policies other than those of industrialized countries or of the north, but really of our countries, we do not do that frequently. So thank you very much, and the audience. In fact, it's a good turnout for our CMRS seminars, which shows the interest the subject has raised. Thank you very much also for the audience. You're always most welcome to CMRS and to all EUC events. Thank you very much for being here.